Tax season is when honest people get stressed and scammers get paid. I'm going to go over the 4 biggest tax scams right now and give you a bunch of free resources to lock your return, your credit, and even protect your kids, so stick around. Why do scammers come out at tax time? Maybe it's because we're distracted, trying to get tax information together. We have 1099s, K-1s, W-2s, stuff's flying all over the place. Maybe you're anxious to get a refund. Maybe you're afraid you did something wrong. Well, scammers prey on this. They know exactly which buttons to push to get you to give them your personal information, your banking info, even sending cash or allowing them to step into your shoes and get your refund. And it happens a lot, to the tune of an estimated 2.4 million suspected fraudulent returns last year, with over 23 billion in fake refunds. And I'm sure you're probably thinking to yourself, there's no way I'd fall for these scams, which is hopefully true, but people do, smart people. Let me give you an example. This is a true story. A client who was a successful doctor. Not only this, but he and his wife were also really good investors, super intelligent. But one day, the doctor's wife called me and she was furious. What did you guys do? Our taxes are a mess. The IRS keeps calling, and I have to pay a bunch of penalties and back taxes. She wanted to know what I was going to do to reimburse them because they were paying these. And so I asked her one question. Did you get a letter from the IRS? Silence. And I explained to her that the IRS does not start matters via the phone. They would have received official correspondence a long time before anybody called. And I tried to explain that the IRS doesn't start by calling you and screaming, pay me now. Scammers do. But it was already too late. She had paid him. She paid a big chunk of money, and to boot, she fired me right on the spot. And it was a scam, of course. They did not owe any money. We hadn't done anything wrong. If she had listened, I would have just sent her to IRS.gov to pull her transcript. But she didn't listen. You'll see there is always a process that you can follow to tell whether something is legit or a scam. But you have to stop, boop, and listen for a minute and don't panic. And that's today's message. The IRS is about process. Scammers are about urgency. And if you learn to spot urgency, you'll dodge 99.9% of the tax scams out there. So let's go over the big scams that are out there now, plus what to do, what not to do, and the IRS tools that actually protect you should you choose to use them. Number 1, the IRS is calling you right now scam. The IRS is calling. I must have done something wrong, right? And this is the classic. They call, you owe money. This is the final notice. We've been trying to get a hold of you. We're going to garnish your wages. We're going to issue an arrest warrant. We're going to deport you. And they keep you on the phone. You need to take care of this now. They want payment now, and they will threaten you until you pay. Sometimes they'll want something like a prepaid debit card. They'll want give me your credit card right now. We got to handle this, or wire me the money. Sometimes they demand some weird stuff, and people pay this. Gift cards, crypto, Zelle. That is not how the IRS works. The IRS does not demand crypto or gift cards ever. And the IRS does not threaten arrest over the phone. The IRS does not say, pay now or we're going to do all this horrible stuff. What do you do instead? If you're in doubt, somebody's already contacting you. Ready? This is what you do. Hang up. Don't debate with them. Don't explain. Don't prove anything. Anything you give them, they're going to use against you. Then verify the information. If they say you owe money, you can verify it through boring channels. Like go to your IRS online account. If you have never been there, you just go to IRS.gov and type in, get my transcript. You'll be able to research what you owe, if anything, right away. Or if you actually get official IRS correspondence, you can call the number on the actual letter you receive. If you're worried about that, you can always go online and look for it. But don't call the number a caller gives you. Hey, this is the number I want you to call. You look for a number on actual correspondence from the IRS. Chances are that's not going to exist because these things are scams. Now, there are collection agencies who do collect on behalf of the IRS. So this is where it gets a little confusing if you are owed. But you would know about this because you would have had a whole bunch of IRS letters saying, hey, we're going to send you to collections. If you missed them, just go to IRS.gov and research your transcript, and you can tell whether you owe any money, and you can verify it pretty cool. So this is a simple rule. If it's real, you can verify it without their help. Otherwise, it's absolutely fake. Scam number 2, phishing. And it looks real. Some of these are really, this catches smart people all the time because it looks clean. Your refund is on hold. Your refund is in process. Unusual activity on your account. Verify your identity. Message from the IRS. Your e-file was rejected. It'll have a link. It may even have a PDF that looks like they'll have the logos. Everything will look real. It'll feel official, but it's not. Here's the rule. Never, ever click on a link in a message like that. Go directly to the site you already know, IRS.gov, or if it's a tax matter with your state, go to your state website. Don't type in what they sent you. Sometimes they do these funky little email or these web addresses that look really close. They'll even put like a pretend gov, or they'll put something like to make it seem like it's official. No, go to the taxing authority independently through their main site. If it's real, you'll be able to verify it there. Don't ever enter your Social Security number or banking info because a stranger emailed you something nicely, right? Hey, you owe this. Don't click their links. Don't give them info. Go independently to that third party, the government site, IRS.gov, if it's anything tax related, and access your account there. And by the way, if it's something about your refund, you can use the refund tracker on the IRS site if you've already filed to determine the status of your refund. Never some link that somebody sends you. I don't care whether it's emails, if it's text or whatever. And by the way, if you do get something, send it to the IRS. There's a website called Phishing at IRS.gov, phishing at IRS.gov, phishing like that at IRS.gov, and hopefully somebody will put a stop to whoever's doing the scam, but there's so many. Number 3, tax identity theft. Ooh. This one really hurts because this is when somebody files before you. So I'm just going to call it tax ID theft. This is not obvious. This is the silent one. A thief files a return in your name early. Right? They've got your information. They stole it or they bought it, and they filed a return. You find out later when you try to file, and the system says the return is already filed. You're going to get that sinking feeling. If you get an IRS letter, by the way, saying verify your identity, notice I said letter. You didn't get a phone call. You didn't get a text. You didn't get an email. You get a letter saying verify your identity. And this is, by the way, the form should be 5071C. And what it means is that your return will not be processed until you respond, which is great. You don't want them to process your return. There's something that caused them to go, And remember, it's a letter. It's not something on social media. It's not an email, a text. It's not a phone call. It is a good old-fashioned letter. You get a phone call or a text or email. This is where people panic. Don't. There's always a system. Remember that with the IRS. The IRS has tools for this, all of these things to protect you. And you can lock this down better than you realize. And so I'm going to give you 4 tools that the IRS has for you. You ready? Number 1 tool. This is called an IP PIN. You can go to IRS.gov and you can get it. It's the most underrated move in tax protection. It's a 6-digit number. Only you and the IRS know it. When without that number, a thief cannot file your return under your Social Security number, period. So let me translate this in English. It turns your tax return into basically a 2-factor authentication. If you're worried, if you've experienced ID theft, get an IP pin. And I'll add a downloadable attachment to the link up, free resources, and it'll have it on there too, so that you can download and you can go right to it, so you don't have to worry about it. This is one of the few cases where, yes, it's okay to click a link. If I put the attachment in there, go ahead and you can go straight to it. Or you could type in IRS IP tool, but I'll give you the link. Number 2, ID verification process. You get a letter asking to verify, this is it. Follow the IRS verification process listed in the letter or on the IRS site. And again, I'm going to put a link that is downloadable. Do not verify through a third-party link that came from an email, a text, or something else, because that is not how the IRS works. It means it's a scammer, and they're going to steal your information, because you're going to go in there, you're going to put a bunch of information in, and the next thing you know, hey, put your username and password, and they just grab, chances are they're going to try it on just everything. IRS tool number 3, and it's called a Form 14039. This is your affidavit where you could say, hey, I've been the victim of identity theft. And by the way, if you're actually a victim of tax ID theft, the IRS may also have you file, they're going to have you file this 14039. And this is basically a flag it officially form, right? It's for a rejected e-file. And the IRS notice is letting you know that there was suspicious activity with your return, and it wasn't you. So if you receive a W-2 from a company that's not your employer, or a 1099 that you don't recognize, you may want to let them know. One of your dependents is being claimed by somebody else, this is where you file it. And by the way, I'll put it also on the download sheet that's in the show notes with all the free resources, just so you have it right there. And so if you think your ID is stolen, you should follow the steps. By the way, there's a separate website. It's identitytheft.gov/steps. And I'll put that on the sheet too. And you can follow that to help you. It sucks, I know. But again, there's resources, and I'll give you another one to help you as well. But hopefully you'll get it in time. Hopefully we can stop somebody from getting your information if you go there and you file this form and you make sure that people know and the IRS knows that you've been victimized. Now, if you have been victimized of a verifiable ID theft, then there's assistance that they can provide. Right? They basically can help you remove the fraudulent return. They mark your account, and they can get your legitimate returns processed, because you're not going to be able to do it through the normal process. And this is the unfortunate part. Remember when I said the IRS is a process? It's not a panic button. This is it. This is where we have to go through the process. And again, I'll put the links into the free resource so you can take a look at it. Now let's talk about a scam that's extra uncomfortable for somebody like me, because you literally hand over your information, sensitive information, to somebody you think is a professional. And it's a doozy. And it's called the Ghost Preparer scam. Ghost. So I used to drive down a street here in Vegas called Eastern, right around tax time. You'd see all these tax prep companies popping up everywhere. I mean, some had plywood signs with the paint that just said tax preparation here. A lot of them were in Spanish, and a bunch of these places were outside of completely unrelated businesses, like come get your return filed while you have a donut. Now remember, the IRS is a system. Preparers have to fit in that system. So if somebody is filing a return for you, they need what's called a PTIN, a Paid Tax Preparer Identification Number. In fact, if they help you prepare your return and they don't even file it, they need a PTIN. No PTIN, do not think of giving them your information. Do not think of paying them. And why is this called a Ghost Preparer scam, by the way? Is because the moment they have a pushback from what they're doing, they're going to ghost you. They prepare your return for money, often with outlandish claims of credits or refunds, but they won't sign it. They won't put their PTIN on it. Or if they're really bad, they'll just have you sign a blank return and say, yeah, I'm gonna get a cut, right? Don't worry, I'll take a cut. They'll just put the money right into their account. And by the way, why does whoever signed the return matter? Because if the return is wrong, the IRS comes back after you, not the ghost. So if you sign a blank return and they put a bunch of hogwash numbers in there, you're still on the hook. If they do some weird stuff and they end up stealing your refund, you're going to be arguing, but they're going to be looking at it. So you get all sorts of stuff like a fake return. You get their bank information that they might put on there so that they get your refund. This actually happened to somebody I know a few years back. The returns were never filed. They were giving the information, and the preparer kept saying that they were filing the returns. And what they were doing is they were filing a return with the preparer's bank account and trying to get refunds back when in actuality they owed a whole bunch of money. Well, the company still had to pay it. And of course that person, poosh, they became a ghost. They disappeared, gone. They're gone, but you still owe. Now there are red flags to watch for, some easy ways to avoid this scam. And basically, here's the big red flags. If they promise a guaranteed huge refund, something that just makes you scratch your head, or they base their fee on the size of that refund. I'm going to take 50%. If they won't sign the returns themselves and they just make you do it, or if they won't show you a PTIN, they rush you. They say, just sign, trust me. They make up numbers. Sometimes they'll add income and they'll put it on your return because they're saying, hey, you could get tax credits. And hey, you could always add income. No, you can't. Still a false return. If they're filing electronically for you, by the way, they have to get that Form 8879, and they're not. They just go ahead and do things. You may not even be aware that they filed for you. You gave them your information, and they're going out and they're just trying to scam away. And maybe they sold your Social Security number and your information as well. So your rule, if they're legit, they sign the return, period. And use legitimate companies that have been around, that have CPAs and EAs and attorneys, right? These are licenses. If you're going to somebody who doesn't, you're rolling the dice. You also don't sign a return until it's ready to be filed. And by the way, you have a gut, right? Trust it. Trust your gut. You can almost tell when something seems off. If there was a place that was an empty space a month ago and now it's a new prep service and it's cash only or similar, you're Zelling it, it's not for you. Look, tax scams have been around for as long as I can remember. Avoiding them is usually just common sense. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. If somebody steals your information from a data breach, and like, by the way, the IRS has had data breaches. Heck, they stole and published a whole bunch of people's returns, right? There's a certain amount that you can't do, but common sense tells you then that you need to be aware that that stuff might be out there. It might be out there, so you need to mitigate the impact. And like, what kind of things can you do to mitigate it? Well, the best thing you can do is like do credit monitoring. You can actually do a credit freeze. You can do the IRS PIN. Like if you're really worried, do the IP PIN. It's annoying, but it's effective. You know, basically, I'll put a bunch of options. I got the free resources. I'll show you how to freeze things for you, for your kids. We'll keep going into that, but I'll give you a bunch of options on a download sheet, and I'll just put it in the show notes. All you got to do is go grab it. Now, in the tax profession, when we look at how other tax pros handle this type of stuff, it's pretty much all the same. They point out that the IRS is a mail-first and process-driven company or agency, and that scammers are always going to be urgency. They're trying to get you to do stuff now, and they really make you feel anxious. And they say the biggest mistakes they see their clients make are always the same. They click something they shouldn't have. They rush. They pay in panic because somebody's yelling at them. They use the links that the scammer sent you to verify things, and they put data in. So here's a do this and a don't do this list to help you. And anybody else you want to share this with, by the way, share it with them. Here's the do this list. This is the to-do. Slow down. Verify through official channels. Go to things like IRS.gov. Do not click on links. Do hit that IP PIN to protect your returns if you're worried or you just want to be safe. And if you think that you're owed a refund, file early for that refund. I'm a big guy that says, I'm always like, hey, extend, because I work with so many investors. But if you're owed money and your return's fairly simple, get it in early so these guys don't get a chance to try to step in front of you. And then do alerts. Use them through your bank or credit tools. There's a bunch out there. And they'll let you know when somebody's applying for credit or if somebody's doing something in any of your accounts. Do use a preparer who signs the returns and provides you with a PTIN. Do keep copies of everything just in case. And if in doubt, if you're really worried, feel like you've been compromised, and the old joke is there's two types of people in the world, people that have had their stuff stolen and people that don't know that they've had their stuff stolen, right? The idea is that chances are your stuff's been compromised at some point. You can freeze your credit. And I'll give you each agency's freeze button. You can do that for yourself, and you can do that for your kids. So somebody doesn't try to build credit in your kid's name and social security number. Because trust me, people find out years later, and they're usually not too pleased. Now, the don't do list, this is the more important. Don't click on links in texts or emails, even if they look official. Don't pay the IRS with gift cards, wire, crypto, Venmo, or any of that other stuff, any of those immediate payment apps. Use IRS.gov payments and pay online. I'll put that link in the download as well. You just go and you pay it, and it says what year, what kind of form, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to go to any other weird site or do any of that stuff. Don't give people your social security number or bank info when they call in. Like if somebody's calling you, if you can't call them back on an official number, like if you can't find that person, if you can't go locate them again, don't give them anything. Don't give them anything anyway. And don't sign a blank return. Don't use these pop-up preparers that are there for 1 month. Crazy. They've got all your data, and where'd it go? Again, probably got sold. If you remember one line from this video, make it this, by the way. The IRS is about a process. Make sure you're fitting within that process. Scammers are about urgency. Don't do something if someone is pushing you. It's not the IRS. It's definitely a scam. And if you want the single best protection move most people ignore, get that IP PIN from the IRS. It's the closest thing to a deadbolt on your tax return. All right, so I promised you free resources. I'm going to put that in a easy to download sheet in the show notes. And you'll find the links to get your IP PIN from the IRS, how to freeze your credit with the 3 major credit bureaus. You got to go to each one. I'll even give you links so you can freeze your child's credit as well to make sure someone doesn't run up the credit in their name, and a link to get your free annual credit report and a few others. It'll be in that show notes. Share, like, and subscribe. Good luck, guys.